Hello, everybody. Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second session of the Social Media Conference Suriname Day 3. I'm super excited to introduce our next speaker. And actually, Felipe is proof that sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith in life and you never know what's going to happen. It's a funny backstory how he ended up being a speaker at our conference. What happened is that he mailed us asking us if we were interested. Actually, say a rude of men. I'm going to introduce myself. Let me do that first. Let's start over. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second session of the day. My name is Ruth Constant. I am the project manager of the Social Media Conference Suriname, and I'm very excited to be introducing our next speaker. And as I said before, Felipe became a speaker at our conference because we took a leap of faith. And the backstory is that Felipe mailed us and asked us if you were interested in receiving a report, a competitive analysis report from his company, Admetricks. And I immediately thought, this could be something that we're interested in. But when he said that it was a product that they wanted to launch in the Caribbean, I immediately got the idea, we're in the Caribbean and we're about to launch a social media conference. So why not try to make a link between Admetricks and the social media conference Suriname? So Felipe probably wasn't expecting us to counter him with a request ourselves, because we immediately asked him if he would be interested in either speaking or sponsoring the social media conference Suriname. And we had a Zoom meeting, we talked about it. He seemed interested, and later on he confirmed that he would in fact love to be a part of our conference. And that's how Felipe kind of became a part of SMCS 20. Felipe Del Sol is our next speaker. He is the CEO and co-founder of Admetricks and Brandy Social. They are present in 18 Latin American countries, and they work with brands like Google, AT&T, and Discovery Networks. What they do is that they create competitive analysis reports based on where and how brands invest in digital advertising. And today he'll be sharing the impact that COVID-19 has had on the online advertising industry. It's no secret that you need to advertise if you want to reach your target audience, but the impact that COVID-19 has had on that's what Felipe will be zooming in on today, because what worked back then doesn't really work right now. And as a company, you need to adjust your strategy so you can still reach your target audience. And I'm very excited to hear what Felipe will be sharing about that today. Felipe, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Ruth, for that great introduction. And I'm very happy to be digitally in Suriname. I'm currently in Chile, so we are in the same continent. I will go start to share my screen. But yeah, very happy to be here. Hopefully, I can give you new things in order for you to get stronger in these difficult events that we are living right now. So, the impact of the COVID-19 in the online advertisement industry. The COVID-19 has infected our work, it has changed our behavior, it generated a decrease in the economy and made companies reevaluate everything. Because if companies want to stay alive in the long term, they must understand the market shifts and the market opportunities that are happening right now. Everybody now has to do more with less, or do the same with less resources. All companies, everybody who sells anything should think in these terms, because right now we're living in a difficult times. And COVID has affected each category in a different way. In this table, we can see the winners and losers of the COVID-19 in the short term and in the short and long term. So the winners in the short terms are everything that we needed to be safe in our houses and stay entertained. And the winners in the long term are everything that has to do with online. So the online streaming services, like the ones we're using today to have this conference, that it couldn't be physical because of the way things has turned out, has been a long-term winner, because at the end of the day, maybe next year we will have one physical event, but for sure we will have 4 or even more digital events using this kind of platforms. Telecommunications that had, I don't know, everybody has, I think, failed their internet or having issues with them. But telecommunication companies will be a long-term winner because they're adjusting all their infrastructure to get to the demand they need to do. And the losers are everybody that had to shut down because of the sanitary legal things. So restaurants, the museums, the gyms, they have to close up. They were short-term losers. And there are also long-term losers that had to do with only physical stores, movie theaters. I think that we are going to think twice if we will go there. So this might be a bit obvious, but it's very important to segment them, because only then we can approach each industry with a different strategy, and we can direct our efforts to the winner strategies. Even though there might be winning categories, a company could be negatively affected because they could not respond to the needs and the demands of the people, because they didn't have well implemented logistics. So whatever you order online doesn't get to your house, and that's a big problem. Maybe it will be a loser in the long term. Or they don't have the technical capabilities to satisfy the demand that doubled or tripled in very little time. And I've heard a lot of discussions on the recent month about the needs for marketers to get back to the basics, that many brands lost sight of the 4 P's of marketing that they teach on the first classes of marketing. And they focus only on promotions and simply spreading a message and maintaining the brand presence. Many marketers have forgotten or failed to understand the dynamics of the market and the dynamics of this coronavirus and how affected everything, and they didn't adapt the products, the pricing, their distribution to suit to the new situation we're living in. Other talks about the 4 C's of marketing, which is another way of seeing marketing on the customer side. We need to understand the customer, the cost they're paying, and the convenience of how we are providing the product, and how we communicate with them. So this is a big change, passing from promotion to communication, that is in both sides. And here in this talk, I will talk also about other things we should reevaluate, and it all starts with the why. I don't know if you know this guy, is Simon Sinek. He has a book, he has also a video, you can see a TED Talk, and he says we should start with the why. Why we are doing what we're doing right now. Why do we wake up every morning to do our work and give value to people? So all starts with the purpose. The purpose has to be something you love, has to be something that you're great at, something that people pay for because you have to pay for your life, and something that the world needs. All this gets together and gets a purpose and makes you start with why are you doing what you're doing. Second is the problem you're solving. You must deeply understand the problem and how the problem changed in this new dynamics, in this new way of people that people are living. Because if you deeply understand the problem, that's when you start seeing things that others are not seeing. That's when you see the opportunities that are there. Having great understanding about the problem depends a lot of talking to customers. So you can later offer them your products that solve that problem. And that problem, talking to customers, is how we can understand the value we're providing. So here you can see a value pyramid for B2C, that are companies that sell directly to the consumer. And this is by Bain & Company, and it's inspired on Maslow pyramid of human needs. So at the top of the pyramid, we have self-transcendence. So are things that generate a social impact to the world and make people transcendent in different things. The second part is life-changing elements. So it can provide hope, it provides me motivation. So here are a lot of brands talk about self-transcendent motivation. I can give an example as maybe Nike. They sell sneakers, but how they communicate and the value they try to provide is motivate and make people self-transcendent. So they focus on the higher end of this pyramid. And most of the companies focus on the functional elements, that your product saves time, simplifies, makes you money, reduce risks, helps you reduce your efforts, your cost, quality, well, the different things. The higher you are in the pyramid, the more value you can provide. And also communication, as I said before, it's very important. Communicate why you're doing what you're doing. Why are you solving the problem you're solving, and communicate the value you are providing to customers with your product. So the question here that you must ask yourself is, are you communicating correctly? Are you communicating all these things in the new type of world that we're living right now? If there's issues, and this is very important for companies that maybe sell online a different service, or every company that is, sometimes it's very easy for customers to hear about you, buy from you, but if they have a problem, how easily is for them to reach you? Communication now has to be bidirectional from customer to company, and in both ways. And I believe this will be a big game changer, because there's new companies out there. There's a lot of startups or new companies that are starting right now, that they start with this in their DNA. They start knowing that communicate with their customers is the most important thing they should do. And this will give space for new companies to rise, and the ones that don't adapt to this, they will die. I believe that this is really a game changer, and people now are taking their decision. It's very easily to switch between buying from one to another, and people will end up buying from companies that can answer if they have a question. So in a summary, we have to reevaluate the purpose. And this is a summary of the purpose, the problem, the communication, and the value. I changed the product, the client by the problems. That should be first, then the client, then the product. Instead of talking about cost or price or convenience, we should start talking about the value we're providing, and instead of promotion, we should start talking about communication. So these are my CVPs of marketing. To give you an example of what we're doing at Admetricks, our purpose is providing transparency to the online advertisement industry. The problem we're solving is that the online advertisement industry is very hard to keep track of what's going on. What are the advertising campaigns of your competition? What's their strategy? Where are they advertising, and how much are they spending, and what's my market share? All these questions we answer to our customers that are brands, agencies, and publishers, and we help them to have more visibility. That's kind of the value we provide of the market's trends. So our customers understand what's happening in order for them to take better decisions and build successful marketing campaigns. And our communications is two ways. I have to say that it's way easier to have two-way communication in B2B companies, that B2B we sell to other companies rather than having thousands or millions of customers. But we have a dedicated customer success team to be sure that our communication is regularly between our customers and our customer has success with the product we're providing. I don't know if there are some questions in the chat, in the Q&A. If you have them, just go for it. I'll be happy to understand, to answer them.
So far, there are no questions, Felipe, but I'll let you know when there are.
Cool, thank you. So for us, it's very important to have data and market insights, because we believe and we are sure that in times of uncertainty, having data and market insights will allow you to make better decisions, or at least have a greater probability of making them. And this is our motivation, and this is why I'm here today giving this presentation. We want to support everybody who's here attending at this conference. We want to support the market, providing them with information of how the market behaves, and hopefully this allows them to observe the opportunities and then make better decisions to emerge stronger from this crisis in the long term. So these are some trends we are seeing in online advertisement ad spend for 2020. And these are data of work of global advertisement spending. So we see, this is kind of obvious, but we see the data of how the ad spend of all traditional media has gone down, and the expectation before the outbreak, so this was in February, was that social media will grow 20% in a global basis, and after the coronavirus, well, social media, the estimations are that it will grow 9.8%. So the good thing that we are in the right place here. So this called the social media conference, it should be where all brands are making their bets, or making their bets while growing, where there's online video, but all online advertisement will still grow this year, and all other advertisement like well, TV, radio, newspaper, that have been going down through the years. Now, in this year, it will affect them even more. So what's our data showing? Because Admetricks robots, that's the one that's capturing all our information, is continue capturing data because happily he's immune to coronavirus. So what do the data say? Here we see the number of brands that are advertisement online in different Latin American companies and also countries, and also Spain. So here we see the data from January, February, March, April until October. This is not filled, this is until today. But we see the trend that the number of brands advertising online, it hit an impact that in May was kind of the April was the month that had lower number of brand advertisement, and then the brands started growing and having even more brands than in January in advertisement. So these are, well, Chile, Colombia, Peru, Argentina, Mexico, and Brazil, and Spain. And right here we can see other countries in Latin America, some in the Caribbean, such as República Dominicana. Well, I don't know if you call Puerto Rico Caribbean. I guess yes, it's kind of US, Puerto Rico. But we see the trends similar, where from April they started going up. Here in Puerto Rico, we don't see that kind of trend, but most of the countries are having that trends. We in these terms, we don't have data from Suriname, but later I will show some data from social media of some industries in Suriname. So here's a deep dive in Puerto Rico. So here the trends, they just kind of stay the same, with some growth, but we don't see much trends in the data we're seeing in Puerto Rico. But in Dominican Republic, we see that in the last 7 to 8 months, they're still growing the number of brands and the number of active campaigns that are in online advertisements. So in terms of the industries or categories that has the more impression share, here we see data from the Dominican Republic for September 2012, September 2020, sorry. And we see telecommunications, software, financial services, banks, education, universities, one of the top categories that are in the market. And we see that most categories seen growth in the last month. So this is the variation between September and August, and the variation between September and July. In terms of social media, and here we'll see data from Suriname, a very affected industry is the airline industry. So this is our second product. This is Brandy Social. In Brandy Social, it makes it easy to compare your content against your competition in Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can easily understand your market share in terms of interactions and in terms of published posts. So we see here Suriname Airways against KLM Suriname, and we see the different posts and in terms of interaction. So these are the top performing posts in terms of interactions for Suriname Airways in Facebook, where they have the Valentine's Day sale. So here I I cannot read much Dutch, but here's one in English. Great news. October 31st, we are restarting our operations between Georgetown, I think in Miami and different parts. So these are how brands are communicating in social media, and in terms of posts, they're publishing an average of 1 post per day.
Felipe, I'm going to interrupt you real quick because we
Sure.
actually have 2 questions.
Sure.
Let me start reading them to you. The first one is, should we also reevaluate our impact with online advertisement to keep providing excellent service?
Yes, for sure. At the end of the day, the service is the most important thing for the long term, right? I know, and I will talk later on, that in the short term, we need, and I will talk about this later, but we need to bring cash, because at the end of the day, we're suffering and we need to get resources in, and we need to promote our service for people to buy, and that's our short term needs, right? But the thing is, we need also focus on the long term, and the client service is kind of a must. I think it will be a game changer between the companies that have excellent support, client support, and the ones that don't. And I want to be very strong here with this opinion, that the companies that they don't focus on the client success or client support and make them happy at the end of the day with when they have a problem, those companies will start to die. That's they will not exist anymore, because the customer is starting to be very demanding, and there's the new options are growing each day, and new entrepreneurs are building companies, e-commerce, where they can buy any product, and they will easily change. I don't know if I answered that correctly, or if you want to get through.
I think it was pretty clear, but please let us know if that answered it for you. But if it's not, you can also ask a follow-up question, and then Felipe or I can get into that. The second question, Felipe, is actually 2 questions in one. The first part of the question is, what social media platform is, according to you, the best for advertising? And then it follows up with, how big should an average budget for online advertising be, according to you?
Sure. So sadly, there's not one answer. The answer is, you have to try. You have to try, and maybe I don't know if you called the A/B testing. You have to try spending in each of the one and see which one will perform better. And I will end this on the presentation, but it's very important to know what are you measuring, right? Because it's best for advertisement. You can see what are you focusing on, right? You want impressions, you want clicks, you want brand awareness, you want reach, or you want sales. So I believe that for each thing that you want to achieve, it could a different social platform might work better or worse. So the answer to the question is, it depends on your company, how you do the advertisement, and at the end of the day, you must try with the ones that you know the best. I know Facebook works very well, but every platform can help in different ways to communicate a message. For example, if you want to communicate a message on video, YouTube is better than Facebook. if you are looking to have direct sales, then I would prefer doing Google search that is straightforward. People searching for your product and they will go and buy it. So for the second question, how big should be an average budget for online advertisement according to you? I believe it should be, everybody talks about the budget, and I like to talk about the return on your investment. So if you have positive return on investment and you measure the cycle of your investment and the return you're getting, basically you should have the biggest budget you could have, right? But if you're doing campaigns that are not working, your budget should be zero because they're not providing you some business value to that. So I think that would answer the question, and always the answer, I'm sorry, is depends. But that's the thing. There's not a straight answer. You need to work it out, and it depends on your company. It depends on the product. It depends on how you're communicating. Why are you doing what? If you're communicating the why, if you're communicating the values, if you're strictly communicating the product, it will depend on each way. Yeah, I think that answers the questions.
I also would actually like to add a few things, Felipe. The question was which social media platform is the best for advertising. Like you said, it depends on the company, but the target audience is also very important. So if you're trying to reach a specific group and you know that that group is on Facebook or on Instagram or on LinkedIn, that's going to decide which platform you should be advertising on. But if you're looking at the different functionalities that the advertising platforms have to offer, then Facebook is on top of the ladder because their advertising platform is a bit more advanced compared to other social networks. So yeah, like you said, it depends on your company and the target audience that you're trying to reach.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree about the target audience. So thank you
There's a
for
third question, Felipe. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
you want to get into that right now or if you want to continue about your presentation and then follow up on that later.
I can end the social media trends part, and we can
Okay.
talk about that because yeah, we will see that because at the end of the day, you will see here that they're publishing one post daily in average in this industry. But if we go to the bank industry, here we see are the last 30 days. We see that the Suriname Bank has 49% of the interactions of this category, followed by BCB Bank, Hari Bank, mostly on Facebook platform, and they are publishing 2.4 average posts. And here, yeah, most of the banks are publishing the same amount of time. They're doing Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And here are the ones of the top posts. I here would need your help. I don't read Dutch, but I'm seeing this should be like a campaign for breast cancer. And there's things that the banks help, and this is something I talked to before of what should we be communicating, and these banks who sell banks account is communicating about how they are helping the cancer, the breast cancer. So these are the top posts from the Surinamese Bank and Surinaamse Volkscredit and the other, in mostly on Facebook, that's giving the most interactions. Telecommunications. Here we compare Digicel against Telesur. I'm sorry, Telesur, if you're listening, but Digicel is winning by a little, but they have 53% on the interactions, mostly on Facebook and Instagram. And in terms of posts, they're also posting more. In this industry, the average would be 3 posts per day. So we see there the Digicel post and the Telesur posts. Then we have the insurance industry in Suriname, where we have Surya, who's leading in terms of interactions in the last 30 days, followed by Farsasco, Fatum, and Self-Reliance. And in here we have 2.8 daily average posts published. And here are the top posts of these industries, of what are they communicating, and what are the contents that are getting the most interactions. So I can now answer the question, how many times a week should a company post an advertisement on Facebook to get enough customer engagement? So I believe if you have a brand, you should be well, on Facebook or in every platform, you should be communicating like all the time. This is it has to do with if you're doing a certain campaign, or if you want to have engagement. If you have engagement, you should be doing it all the time. I believe it depends, because on Facebook can be 2 or 3 posts a day, but in Twitter that are more posts, you should be doing way more. I would say from 10 to 15. YouTube could be the frequent is less, because it takes a lot of time to produce a video. But in YouTube, we're seeing across different industries that will be like 1 a week, and for Instagram, similar than Facebook. It could be 1 or 2 a day, maybe less, because all your followers see your Facebook, your Instagram feed. And this is a big winner of the coronavirus. And here I'm summarizing the online ad spend of the online stores. And Mercado Libre, which is an Argentinian company who has grown very much, and they are advertising a lot. They increase a lot their advertisement. They are a big winner of this crisis. In the short and the long term, their annual growth in sales is 100%. Their sales are for $5 billion, and their annual growth also increased a lot. So the guy, I don't know if you have Mercado Libre in Suriname, but they are kind of a online marketplace where everybody can sell their products. Right now, a lot of brands started selling in Mercado Libre. They take care of logistics, advertisement, and the way that people payment. And they have been doing a strategy where they are advertising a lot. They're spending a lot of money doing campaigns on Facebook, on all social media, in display, in online. And they're also offering to have brands advertise in their platform. So this is a study from Ubiquity that said that 62 of advertisers or brands plan to cut investment on brand building this year, while 32% intend to increase in investment in e-commerce. Maybe advertise in e-commerce, because we always talk about advertisement in social media, advertisement in newspapers, in TV, but not a lot of people are talking about advertisement in a e-commerce platform. Globally, e-commerce is 20% of digital investment, and e-commerce advertisement is growing 30 times faster than the rest of digital advertising. So right now in Chile, I think in Suriname as well, I think all Latin America, this percentage is very low, but we see that the trends of having e-commerce not only a site for you to sell your products, more than seeing e-commerce like a platform that allows you to sell more efficient, to be more efficient by generating sales. So I'll be happy to talk and see how is the e-commerce platforms way there. I don't know if you use Shopify, or there's a lot of platforms, but we need to think about this of Mercado Libre, of well, Amazon is like the big player here. Think as e-commerce not only a way to sell the products, but it's a way to be more efficient on online advertisement as well. And that gets us to the last part, where in the industry, well, in the online advertisement industry, we have been talked a lot, and in social media as well, at different metrics, such as impression, clicks, conversions, well, video views, app downloads. Even the more advanced ones talk about viewability. If you don't know viewability, the thing is that the problems when you measure impressions is that an impression can happen not in the person's screen, right? So you can, all the platforms count an impression, but people will never see it, and they don't even have the opportunity to see it. So viewability is a metric that helps you to have that opportunity to see. So you count one viewability when the advertisement was in the screen of the user for more than 1 second. So when the correct definition is when 50% of the pixels of an ad is in the screen of a user for more than 1 second, then you can count one viewability. So viewability is a new measure to try to solve the problem of that more than 50% of impressions are not seen by users. They don't have the opportunity to see. So today, more than ever, many CEOs or CFO are demanding that marketing brings money into the business, and they're making marketing managers cut budgets that not generate immediate sales. So right now we must be not thinking about all these metrics you see on your left, but more on what matters. More on the sales, and on the brand equity that you're building into the brand. And this is the brand equity for now is thinking on the long term. In the short term, of course, we are demanding sales because of the current situation. But yeah, so in a summary, we must rethink the way we do marketing. We must reunite with the purpose, solving a problem for customers with a product that delivers value greater than the cost, and maintaining a fluid and healthy communication with them. We must understand that we are in a global recession and we must be more efficient with less. In the short term, we need to understand that most companies need to recover their sales, and digital advertisement, social media advertisement, and e-commerce is a great way to advertise our products and generate the sales we need in the short term. And to finish, the impact of the COVID on digital advertisement continue depends on us. It depends on the decisions we make, the actions we do in order to move forward from this crisis. And we are in this together. We will go through this if we work together. We must support each other in order to move forward. So I like to offer our help. So you can count on Admetricks or Brandy Social to help your needs. If you want to get more insights about social media, other industries that we didn't show in this presentation, I'll be happy to provide you with that access, no cost. So thank you very much, and we can finish with the questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Felipe. That was a very interesting presentation. There are also some new questions that came in. I'm going to read them for you. The first one is, should a company boost all their posts to get more engagement?
Yeah, I think if you want to get more engagement, if you want to get the message there, it's a must to boost the post, because I don't know if there's a talk in this conference about going viral in social media, but what we are seeing is you can try a lot to make a viral video or a viral content, but most of the times it doesn't happen. If you want to get your message out there, you must rely on promoting the content.
That's very clear. The next question is about the slide that you showed where you compared Telecir to Digicel. And the anonymous user asked, Digicel is winning because of YouTube ads and by Facebook in video ads. What should Telecir do to balance that advantage?
Let me read that question. That's in the chat, or
Q&A. Basically, the person is asking how Telecir can get ahead if Digicel is pushing more YouTube and video ads in Facebook.
So at the end of the day, well, what the information that I showed is content, not ads. So that's very important for me to clear. So Digicel is winning on interactions of the content they are providing to their audience. So what should Telesur do to balance that? What should Telesur? So at the end of the day, what I recommend a lot of companies to understand what other telecommunication companies are doing around the world, because I know you compete directly with Digicel and Telesur in the products, but in the communication you can leverage a lot of works that telecommunication brands are doing around the world. In my example, in my view, I see a lot of good practices of content and communication coming through from the telecommunication industry in Spain. So basically, what would I recommend is to understand how are other successful telecommunication companies communicating, and take kind of that data into house and see how we, Telesur or Digicel, will be able to use that. Yeah.
I hope that clears it up, anonymous user, but if you still have other questions, you can drop it in the chat, or you can also contact Felipe through the attendee list and create a one-on-one meeting where you can discuss this further. There aren't any new questions in just yet. You still have the room to ask one or two questions, but Felipe, from my side, I actually had a question for you. You talked about how brands should be more efficient with the budget they have, so efficient with less. But how do you, what advice do you have for companies that are trying to find a way to get the most out of the small budget they already have when it comes to advertising? What are the main things they should focus on so they can actually be efficient with the small budget that they have?
Sure. So the most important thing is measure what matters. So you could have low budget, but if it's providing you sales or providing you something that really matters to the overall company, that will help a lot and make hopefully your budget grow. So the thing is, measure what matters and do more what works, and do less with that doesn't work. Most of the times when people do advertisement, they just okay, we have the campaign ready, let's put it, and we have a week to see what's going on. I would recommend to have like a day to see what's going on and being adjusted regularly. This doesn't depend on the budget, but adjust it regularly so it gets what you want.
That's some good advice, Felipe, because I think that many companies still make the mistake of creating the ad and then they just wait for the period to pass and then they're done with the ad. But what you're saying is you should constantly be looking at your ad, look at what's working, and then also try A/B testing, compare what could be working better, change the text a little bit or tweak the image so you can compare and see what actually speaks to your target audience. That indeed is something that we should be more focused on when it comes to advertising.
Sure.
I noticed that there aren't any other questions, and I think our time is also up, Felipe. I would actually like to thank you for today's presentation. And though it was your first time being with us digitally, we hope that one day you'll also be able to be here in Suriname physically presenting on one of our stages.
Sure, I'll be happy to be there. Hopefully when all this ends and we have the vaccine in our bodies.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions, then we're going to be closing off today's session. The next session will be from Jay Austin, and he'll be talking about how you can create infectious ideas for your brand. Be sure to check up on that. I hope you're having a great day, and see you at the next session.
Thank you. Bye to everybody. Take care and be safe.